Sponsored by Catchpoint, the leader in digital experience management.
Hi, I'm Chris Lopez, Technical Marketing Engineer for Catchpoint. Today, we're looking at how you'd effectively monitor a multi-cloud infrastructure with the Catchpoint SaaS platform. Now, there's a lot of reasons to adopt a multi-cloud infrastructure, ranging from security, testing, planning, and so on. Maybe you're trying to pick a virtual desktop provider and you're splitting your resources between two vendors after reviewing data from the VMs. Or maybe you're trying to avoid vendor lock-in. Or maybe for security purposes, you've split up your resources into private and public cloud instances. Whatever your setup may be, you've probably also noticed that it's harder to monitor your network dependencies the more abstracted they become. In this regard, it's really important to have the right monitoring platform at your disposal. With Catchpoint, we're going to go through a couple scenarios where you'll need to monitor multi-cloud infrastructure, as well as how to design corresponding tests and analytics. First, we're going to go through a scenario where we're monitoring a website that has split infrastructure among two different vendors. And then we're going to monitor two different providers by monitoring otherwise identical network resources. Let's hop in.
Here we are inside the Catchpoint SaaS platform, and let's deal with the first use case. I have a website that has infrastructure for multiple providers. The actual site itself, I'm hosting in AWS, but some external security infrastructure is hosted in Azure. Some of my users are reporting issues authenticating to the site, but beyond that, I don't have a lot to go on. So here, I'm going to build out an instance synthetic test and use multiple node types to get a better understanding of what exactly is going wrong for my users. Remember that just because I might be able to access this resource myself doesn't mean that my users are having the same time. And with Catchpoint, we'll be able to approximate their digital experience from any location or provider. Now, these tests only need to reach the front page, so I've selected web as my test type. Also, I'm going to say I'm monitoring from Chrome, and then I'll put the URL that Catchpoint's going to look at before selecting my nodes. Here, we can see that I picked out both an AWS and an Azure node that are near the users reporting issues, but I've also selected a backbone node as my kind of control group here. As you may recall, cloud nodes are great for analyzing cloud resources, but backbone nodes are better at revealing transit and provider issues. Once I filled in the rest of my settings, we're ready to run. And we've gotten some results back pretty quickly. Here with AWS, we can see that it's connected without any issues. And judging by the backbone here, it looks like those results are not a fluke. But over here at the Azure image, it doesn't look like we received test results back yet. And we haven't for a while. And that's kind of tipping me off that maybe what's wrong with my website here is coming from this part of my infrastructure. And I definitely want to take a deeper look into that before I look at anything else. Moving away from reactive issues, let's take a look at how you'd use the Catchpoint platform proactively. Right, let's say you want to decide what cloud vendor is the best fit for a new remote employee resource you need to stand up. Here is where it becomes essential to have your own tool to monitor providers. I'll use the charm bar to go to synthetic tests that I have running here, and I'll do a search for Azure. I could approach this by simply taking this test and putting it onto a smartboard, so that way we can get a granular breakdown of how Azure is performing on various geographic areas. Inside the smartboard, we're looking at test data from the last week, and we don't need to go digging through it to get any meaningful conclusions. We actually see that Catchpoint has spotlighted a couple of downtime areas, mainly from our Chinese nodes. And however I want to slice up this data, whether going by hour, by frequency of error code, or by city, IP, or ISP, Catchpoint makes it easier to drill down into what is otherwise a massive amount of data, time, and toil that we'd spend on vendor research. I'm going to go back up to source and then select a different Azure test that we've been running here. And instead of CDN, let's say that we only want to take a look at DNS specifically. One of the strongest aspects of Catchpoint is that we're not just getting aggregated data, we're also getting individual requests as well. Here, we can look at every node that we've been running a test from and see if this would indicate whether or not this provider would be a good fit for a given area. I could actually take this one step further and then compare tests from multiple vendors alongside each other. Here, I can take the Azure DNS test we were just looking at, add the Amazon AWS DNS, and then throw them both onto a scatter plot. And from here, we'd be able to use Catchpoint to analyze the data in any way that's relevant to our current scenario. And with that, you now know the basics of monitoring multi-cloud with Catchpoint. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time.
Sponsored by Catchpoint, the leader in digital experience management.